Good morning, dear Dharma friends. Well, we made it through another night. Rained a lot here. I have 150 gallons of rainwater stored for Jennifer to water her plants. It fills up pretty fast. Very fortunate to live in a place where water is sufficient to be really almost taken for granted. Well, it's a bask for the eyes right now to look around and see your presence. Thank you for being here. It is, by my calendar's reckoning, the 3rd of February, 2021. Pretty amazing. This is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. My name is Robert Beatty, and I'm in Western Portland, Oregon. The Portland Insight Meditation Community home base, our beautiful Dharma Center, is about 12 miles to my east of here. I might give you an update on the building project. We're negotiating with the city, or the team that does that is negotiating with them about some requirements. Sprinklers is the most recent struggle, and but anyway, it's quite possible that we will be building within a month, and that will mean that the center will become, when we open again, which will happen, we will be wheelchair accessible. We'll have really nice bathrooms upstairs and downstairs. The upstairs ones will be wheelchair accessible. And the offices downstairs, which we have 8 offices that we rent out, and they will be up to code and legal. And then we will have up to 5 years to finish the seismic upgrade, is what we're hoping the final outcome is. So that's that. I recently received this beautiful little poem that I'd not seen before, by one of my favorites. Oh, I don't need I need the drum for this, not the guitar. Am I a little confused? I think so. This is a wonderful drum. It's made by Cooperman Drums in, I think, New Hampshire. And it's the Glenn Velez drum, very famous drummer who had this made. It's called Any Morning by William Stafford. Just lying on the couch and being happy. Hang on. I want to record this. Click. Click. Any Morning by William Stafford. Just lying on the couch and being happy, only humming a little, the quiet sound in the head. Trouble is busy elsewhere at the moment. It has so much to do in the world. People who might judge are mostly asleep. They can't monitor you all the time, and sometimes they forget. When dawn flows over the hedge, you can get up and act busy. Little corners like this, pieces of heaven left lying around, can be picked up and saved. People won't even see that you have them. They are so light and easy to hide. Later in the day, you can act like the others. You can shake your head. You can frown. Just lying on the couch and being happy, only humming a little, the quiet sound in the head. Trouble is busy elsewhere at the moment. It has so much to do in the world. People whom I judge are mostly asleep. They can't monitor you all the time, and sometimes they forget. When dawn flows over the hedge, you can get up and act busy. Little corners like this. Little corners like this. Little corners just like this. Pieces of heaven left lying around can be picked up and saved. People won't even see that you have them. They're so light and easy to hide. Later in the day, you can act like the others. You can shake your head. You can frown. I love that line. Little corners like this. Pieces of heaven left lying around can be picked up and saved. And it rests. Our practice, our very way of being in the world, rests in, where do I take refuge? Am I going to take refuge in the news? Am I going to take refuge in unstable relationships? I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. Remember that time, it was a few years ago now, when COVID was, they called it COVID-19, was stalking the planet. It's when we started meeting in the mornings. For many of us, turning our lives around in a very new way. Who knew? Who knew what regular morning practice could do, how it would change everything? How it could make ordinary life so much more meaningful and rich. And how we learn to pay attention in our relationships and realize that happiness didn't come from outside. It came from inside. How we watched how the political system was wild, and it's still wild. Human minds run amok. But this equanimity that's been growing over these years since COVID, this greater ease, this deep acceptance of the truth of impermanence. Change didn't stop with the vaccine. In fact, it was during that time that we began to really take to heart that the only security was refuge in the truths of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. And here we are now. What are those lines of the poem? It's a gorgeous poem. When dawn flows over the hedge, you can get up and get busy. Little corners of this, pieces of heaven left lying around, can be picked up and saved, savored at least. People won't even see that you have them. They are so light and so easy to hide. So let's drop into being here now. However now is. A place to check in is with the body sitting here. Maybe you haven't noticed the life of the body very much till now, but all of a sudden there's the life in the hands, the life of the pelvis, the life in the legs and feet. There's the life of the face. And there's the wonderful metronome of the breath coming and going. So familiar, so fresh, so new in every instant. Each breath has that moment of beginning. That rising to fullness. That changing direction, that diminishing, that passing away. In some Tibetan Buddhist schools, they refer to the experience of life as a magical display in consciousness. Among the phenomena we experience are thoughts, moods, emotions, the very story of our lives. This is who I am, this is what I believe, this is the conversation I'm having with myself. And just as we notice, just as awareness notices the arising and passing away of each breath, so too does it increasingly and spontaneously notice this is the thought of the moment, thinking itself into existence and then vanishing. Sounds come and disappear. It's in their very nature. Please notice if there's any tendency, any sense of the need to control the breathing. It really does quite all right by itself. And if you find there is control happening, simply put aside the breath and take up hearing for a while. Notice as your primary object the sound of this voice coming into being and then disappearing. Or maybe there's the crows outside, or the traffic in the background. Is the freeway noise really traffic? Or is it a rocky coast with big waves crashing on it? No way of telling. Breath by breath, thought by thought. There is a certain miracle in the fact that we can wake up. The various trances that we have been conditioned to be in, the stories of the past and the future, the anxieties that arise because of catastrophic fantasies of futures, the stories we tell ourselves of the past. At first, we just occasionally wake up from them. There's a momentary, almost a jolt, and you realize, oh, right, thinking, planning, remembering, selfing. But then from one moment to the next, we discover that we are inhabiting presence and awareness. And the falling into trance is more and more obvious as we start identifying more with being awake. And this awakeness has coming along with it more generosity to ourselves and others, a more generous attitude to our own experience of life, a more loving and allowing experience of life. And the breath, our dear friend, closest friend for a whole lifetime, always here as long as we live. We are powerfully affected by emotions, by moods. They motivate us. It would seem there's a lot more emotional disturbance in us as a society, as a planet maybe. We experience it individually. So it's important that we see, know, understand, be mindful of the mood and emotion that's present. To not let it be the background against which our life plays. Seeing mood as mood. Is this an expansive mood right now? Or a contracted one? Is there confidence and joy and spaciousness about life in this moment, or is there contraction, fear, depression, irritability? We don't need to change it. Probably can't change it much. But the relationship to it is wonderfully malleable. In one polarity of practice, we hold firmly to the breath, come home to the breath. Examine the breath, befriend the breath, incarnate as the breath. This breath now. Rising, rising, falling, falling. In another vocabulary, it becomes obvious that the breath exists in consciousness. Notice how the feet and legs, pelvis, torso, fingers, hands, arms, shoulders, neck, face, head, all exist inside awareness. It's not a thinking process. It's just noticing, where are they experienced inside? When thoughts arise, notice how they too arise, they co-arise with knowing, awareness. Or perhaps they exist in the magical display of consciousness. Thoughts. Pleasant thoughts, unpleasant thoughts, neutral thoughts. Making no distinction really, they're just thoughts. And so the practice becomes one of no effort. Stephen Levine used to call this big mind. The entirety of life arising into something of incalculable vastness. There's the particulars of your own life, your own story, your own wandering minds, your own emotions. The personality. And so for a little while we rest in the simple knowing that there's nothing to do. Little bits of heaven left lying around. It's okay to savor them. So the breath happens, the body happens. Thoughts happen, moods happen, memories happen. The chest and abdomen coming and going to fullness happens. And if we inhabit this ease, we can notice how similar it is to love, how it is love. There's room for everything. The shame, the sorrow, the anger, the hopelessness, the confidence, the intelligence. There's room for it all. Nothing needs to be clung to, and nothing needs to be pushed away. Little corners like this, pieces of heaven, left lying around, can be picked up and saved. People won't even see that you have them. There's just the moment of resting in the present. This present, right now. And you could invite someone else into it with you in your imagination or in your deep knowing. Why would you not invite in someone you love? Why would you not invite in someone with whom you have conflict? An estranged child or parent or friend? Letting go of your end of conflicts with greater and greater ease. It's not worth the price. Remarkably, the past is over. Really over, gone. So forgiveness becomes much easier. And perhaps conjuring up that wonderful ancient mantra, I love you, with your own name at the end. I love you, with your name at the end. Arising into the magical display, I love you. Much simpler than finding your faults and dwelling on them. I love you. And we could form an intention, always in the present moment, to continue some form of this all day, watching thoughts come into being, watching people come into being, watching circumstances arise and disappear. Just like this. And please now manifesting somehow or another, noticing the richness of life in the body, becoming particularly aware of the lips and nose and face and eyes, and then the intention to let the eyes open. And then operationalizing that intention and being present for the birth of seeing. Let's not take it for granted. The William Stafford poem is called Any Morning. I heard William Stafford speak a few times. Once was at a men's conference with about 300 or 400 men, maybe more. He was there with Robert Bly. Robert Bly was waxing poetic, so to speak, to Bill Stafford, saying, "I don't know how you do it, Bill. You got so many books." And they had a friendship. They'd been friends for a long time. And William Stafford said, "Well, I have a secret, and I'll tell you if you like." And he said, "My writing stand." Oh, he said, "I write a poem every morning before breakfast." And Bly was amazed at that. And he said, "How do you do that?" And he said, "Well, I keep my writing stand between the bedroom and the bathroom and the kitchen. And every time I go by, I stop and I ponder about that poem. And I write a poem every morning before breakfast." And Bly said something. And then William Stafford said something directly to Bly. "Well, Robert, if you're going to do that, you'll just have to lower your expectations." Lower our expectations and write a poem. So I have all the usual announcements. Please help support PIMC. I have a retreat coming up at the end, a 2-day-long retreat coming up at the end of February. This Saturday, Doyle Banks is doing his thing from 9 to 2. And there's so much more that happens at PIMC. Every night of the week, there's something, almost every night of the week. And you may have received in your email, I should put this on the website. One more thing. A fellow, Rob Orman, interviewed me 3 or 4 weeks ago for quite a long time. We had a great conversation. And he's edited it down into a podcast. And I will stick it on my blog today. I've only listened to a little bit of it, but I've been hearing back from people that it's really very connecting and a handy thing to give to friends who don't meditate. It's, converting your parent or your sibling or somebody. But anyway, that's an availability now. So I'd like to open it up for you to share anything you would like about how life is unfolding for you today. Year 2 of the COVID beast. Oh, maybe I should announce this too before people leave. I will be absent, taking a little break on Friday and Monday coming up, and also on Sunday. Jim is being in the teaching seat on Friday, and Kendall on Monday, and Gary on Sunday. There we go.
Robert, this is Steffi. I'm not on camera.
Hi, Steffi.
Hi, thank you. So when in the meditation or, when I listen to your voice and, I hear something about working with somebody who has strife, in that moment, everything drops and I'm the most loving person. But then, once it's done, I'm having strife with a coworker, and so it's like once I'm out of that state, the anxiety is back and the strife is back. And I'm just wondering, just how to kind of have better maintenance in the practice that I'm getting through here.
That's funny. Yeah. You mean, can we bring the practice from the ideal, simple state of isolation and easy loving into being actually in relationship with a person? That's a lot to ask. So it's very important. It's really important that we love our unfinishedness. And that anxiety and irritability, maybe enemy images, maybe hatred of the person. It's very important that we bring all that into our practice. And so sometime when you're in that loving open space, maybe spend a little while and turn to the part of yourself that is really frightened or angry or hurt or whatever it is, and embrace that. And that's and what will occur over time is you'll realize that you're not that. You're not any of that irritability or anger. You're that in which it all happens, and then real healing happens. There's a certain danger. It's called spiritual bypassing. I think I spoke of it the other day. There's a danger if we meditate a lot, or we learn how to go into trance states in our meditation, very blissful trance states. We don't wind up doing the work of bringing to consciousness our real unfinishedness. And that's how it heals. It heals through loving. Is that making sense at all, Steffi? I think you're unmuted now.
Oh, okay. Oh, it does make sense. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's the last thing we want to do, which is to be really honest with ourselves about sometimes how petty, how unconscious, how angry, how malicious, but then to really just embrace that as part of ourselves and part of the other person. And sometimes we can find a lot of forgiveness in that for ourselves and them. There's a story I haven't thought of for a long time from Gurdjieff, a teacher, I guess 100 years ago or so. He was living in Paris, and he was a very confrontive sort of guy. And a lot of the work happened in community. And a fellow showed up who was really obnoxious. And everybody, the whole group gathered together and basically drove him out. And Gurdjieff heard of this and went and found him and brought him back and paid him to be in the community, to be the irritant that everyone could use to set themselves free. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it's a great model of opening our heart to the parts of ourselves which are the most in pain. But to be practically, to be able to go into meditation and forget about your coworker and forget about the tension and just go into great ease and rest for a while, how wonderful is that? To have both skills, to put the lid on and to take the lid off in order to see these unfinishednesses. I remember Ram Dass telling a story. He'd been in India for more than a year or two, and he came back and he was visiting a friend, and there was a little meditation room, and he said, I was in the meditation room and I was doing my practice in it, and I was chanting the name of God, Ram, 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 God, 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 God. And then I stepped out the door, and these people had children, and there was a toy that you threw. It had sharp spikes on it, and you threw these balls at it, and they would stick. It was kind of like darts, but with balls. And it went from God, 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 damn it, why is this? And he said, there's still more practice to do. Integrating what we can do when we're in solitude with what we can do when we're in the marketplace is really quite the journey.
Good morning, Robert. It's Sky.
Hello, Sky.
I I've been doing a lot of this work um, that kind of like cleaning out some old memories and old things after learning about spiritual bypass a year ago at retreat at Brighton-Bush with you.
Mm.
And I realized I very easily could do the bypass and very easily use meditation as a way to avoid dealing with a lot of other things. And in this last year, I had a friend and was talking to her about how hard it is and actually a little scary at times to go back into these things and bring them forward into my present day and then able to reprocess them. And she said it is scary, but consider it a rescue mission. And I really loved that concept of a rescue mission to go back and find these little fractured, broken pieces and bring them forward and reintegrate them.
How nice.
And then I'm reading Ram Dass's Still Here. And magically, or synchronicity is so beautiful. I open it up and he's talking about doing this very thing and finding those parts of yourself and using your past, bringing your past into your present so that you can process and heal them from where you are in this present moment. You touched on this yesterday too, which to me was just another synchronicity, but I wanted to share the aspect of the rescue mission.
Mm. Funny, it's prompted me to think about soul retrieval.
Yeah.
Mm.
It is like finding all those little lost bits of yourself and then
Right.
putting them back together.
Pulling the projections back off other people too.
Yes. Yes. So, thanks for
Robert,
It's Tim.
good morning.
Hello, my friend.
I had a kind of similar experience about a week ago or something. I had a real kind of blissful, walking meditation experience, and it was just so pure and lovely. And boy, was I ever in tune with the universe, and it was fabulous. I really liked it. And then on an intellectual level, I'm kind of going, oh yeah, don't get attached to this, it won't last, etc. But it was just so And then a situation occurred in my life that brought up a bunch of old stuff. This has been going on. This has been the last 3 or 4 days processing, messing with this situation that brought up a bunch of old stuff, and I've been agitated and having just the circular thoughts and running over conversation and projected conversation, imaginary conversations, and all this stuff. Like the analogy of having the mud in the jar, and when the jar is just totally shook up and it's just boom. I haven't been able to settle down into mindfulness or into, I haven't been able to follow the breath for more than about 2 breaths in a row for days now. And so the comparison between the two was kind of stark. And I was realizing today, and this is classic stuff, was an interesting experience that what I was trying to do with what I had been doing for the last couple of days with my meditation was trying to get stoned and forget about it. Pretty much. I don't drink anymore, but it felt like that. What I really wanted is a couple of good shots of meditation. Why don't you make that a double? And because I'm really sick of having this and well, that's not the proper way to use it. So kind of trying to do the, turn and look at it, bring it in, sort of thing. But anyhow, it was kind of classic of what you're talking about. And I kind of got around to that today during meditation. I think that's going to help.
I like that. That's a good crossover vocabulary. I'd like a double of meditation on the rocks, please. and I'd like no wandering mind, and certainly no difficult mood, please. Yes. Yeah.
I saw a T-shirt at a meditation conference once that said, "Heavily meditated."
That's funny. Oh, that's good.
Or self-meditation. You can go all kinds of places.
Uh-huh.
Robert, it's Pamela.
Hello, Pamela. How are you? How's your health?
It is good. It is I'm slowly getting my energy back. I'm probably 95%. And
Oh, that's great.
this COVID thing is really slow, even when you don't get a bad case. So I've been dealing lately with the sad fact that my partner is really slipping and losing his memory, and watching what struggles there are and what that's going to look like, and noticing fear coming up, and when I'm sitting, sort of like everybody else has been talking about, when I'm sitting, I'm really patient when I'm meditating, and have an enormous amount of compassion for him, and it's incredibly difficult to maintain that patience when I'm asked for the 5th time what day it is, or asked for the 4th time, did I feed the dog, or whatever it is. So trying to take, just thinking about how do I take him in with me when I'm meditating, and take my patience out when I'm not, as well as just as I was thinking about sharing this, noticing, I think Sky, something you said, and I don't even remember what it was, but it pinged for me, about, what about my own fear? My father had Alzheimer's, and so just looking at all of that and not bypassing it, not
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh, I'll be fine." It's anyway. That's where I am right now. Is just looking at all that.
Lots of feelings not far away, huh?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a prediction. You're going to be an imperfect caregiver. Sometimes even downright inadequate. And you'll be challenged to love yourself and to give yourself mercy. Because we have these ideas of how we should be and who we should be. And then life throws these circumstances, like a partner descending into dementia one way or another. I have not, well, that's not, my mother kind of went that way, though she was in a nursing home. I wasn't responsible for her very much, but it's lately it'll sound silly, but I've been really getting to accept more that the Buddha spoke in that first noble truth: birth, sickness, old age, decay, and death. Decay of the mind. And having experiences you don't want to have, and not having experiences you do want to have, and being with people you don't want to be with, and not being with people. Good grief, that's a litany of suffering. And it's true. So to approach what you're doing now with as much love and compassion as you can, that's the path, isn't it? But our self-image is going to take a beating in this journey.
I hadn't really thought of that, but I certainly have experienced it. I haven't associated that, but I have experienced that when I'm impatient, when I roll my eyes, when I have an edge in my voice.
Right.
To say for the fourth time it's Sunday or it's whatever.
Right. Well, and if you didn't go there, how much sadness might there be?
Oh yeah.
Or how much despair, or my dad went this way. I wonder if I'm going to get this too. And there's just the irritability covers so much, and is so normal.
Yeah. And I know that there's some resentment because I really, I wanted us to be able to go play and travel and have an energetic and fun life together, and now it's not. Most of that's not going to happen, and so it's just tough.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, and sad.
Sad, yeah. So it's helpful to come here, even when I don't feel like it. I don't feel like waking up. I don't feel like crawling out of bed, and I do it anyway now that I've got my energy back.
Yeah. Well, I'm always happy to see you, and I have been wondering how you've been doing, so I'm glad I got to ask.
Yeah. And my there have been days when I just didn't have enough energy, but that's subsiding now.
Wow.
It's
That-
been an interesting journey to not to actually nurture that, though, to nurture myself and to say that's okay.
Right.
I have been pretty gentle with myself with
Good.
COVID. I hope I can carry that into this next journey.
Support, 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 of course. There are great support groups, or there are groups that can be great for people who are shepherding someone through that journey. And this here, of course.
I've been noticing the messages from people. I really appreciate that, and I will be saving the chat
Good.
for the connections.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. So, friends, lovely to be together. Anybody else have something you'd like to share before we turn into pumpkins? Well, I have to go quite soon. I went to purchase new glasses because my glasses were all scratched, and I was 2 weeks past the validity of the prescription. So today's the ophthalmologist morning. There's a lot more medical appointments at this point. It's amazing how many there are. But that's true with old cars too, isn't it? They take more maintenance. Hello, Mary Kay. You're unmuted.
Oh,
Hi.
sorry. I'm lying in bed and I don't know how that happened.
Well,
I'm on my phone and I don't know how to unmute myself, so I'm
It's-
just gonna leave.
lovely to see you.
Can you actually see me too?
No, I can see that nice picture of you with the red scarf.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, lovely to be tuning in. Thanks.
Okay, take care.
Yeah.
Well, let's sing our way out of here. I love that term. If you'd like to unmute yourself, please do. And let's think about these words. May all beings receive all blessings. It's not a small wish. It's a beautiful thing. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a lovely, mindful day riding the waves of samsara.
Blessings, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Well, well. Goodbye, beautiful friends.
Robert, thank you. you.
Oh, I'm glad it was nice. It was good.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Had.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, Jilly. And Denise and Vic and Francine.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Have a lovely day. Okay, that's good. Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook. Hope you have a lovely day as well.